You're listening to Audiology. Support our work on Patreon and be sure to submit your requests for topics in the comments below. In Haiti, starting from the 7th of July 2018, cities witnessed protests sparked by hikes in fuel prices. What began as demonstrations against these price increases quickly turned into a broader movement calling for the ousting of President Jovenel Moïse. Spearheaded by opposition leader Jean-Charles Moïse, who is not related to Jovenel, this movement aimed at forming an interim government, initiating social programs, and bringing corrupt officials to justice. As the protests continued through 2019, 2020 and 2021, they grew in size, with hundreds of thousands demanding the government step down. On the 7th of February 2021, there was an alleged coup attempt against President Moïse, leading to 23 arrests and confrontations with the police. Tragically, on the 7th of July 2021, President Jovenel Moïse was killed, purportedly by 28 foreign mercenaries, resulting in the death of 3 suspects and the arrest of 20, with ongoing searches for the remaining assailants and the masterminds behind the assassination. Following this, on the 20th of July 2021, Ariel Henry stepped in as the acting Prime Minister. By September 2022, Haiti faced another wave of protests due to again soaring energy prices and was further strained by a gang blockade around the largest fuel depot, a cholera outbreak and severe hunger crises. These challenges prompted the United Nations Security Council to unanimously decide on sanctions against those deemed criminals within the country. In March 2024, Acting Prime Minister Ariel Henry found himself unable to return to Haiti after a trip seeking assistance from Kenyan police in dealing with gang violence, leading to an emergency meeting by CARICOM on the 11th of March due to the ensuing chaos and power vacuum. A significant corruption case was unearthed by a Senate investigation in November 2017, revealing misusage of Venezuelan loans through the Petrocaribe program during the tenures of Presidents René Préval, Michel Martelly, and under the Chief of Staff for President Jovenel Moïse, spanning from 2008 to 2016. Amidst this turmoil, in February 2021, disputes over the end of President Moïse's term led to another round of protests. Protesters insisted that Moïse's term ended on the 7th of February 2021, urging him to resign. However, Moïse contended he had one more year since he took office in February 2017, citing the Constitution's provision for a 5-year presidential term. Concerns were also raised over a proposed constitutional referendum by Moïse, which could allow consecutive presidential terms and potentially enable him to run again. According to Monique Kleska from the Americas Quarterly in 2021, the ongoing protests, which initially erupted in 2018 due to high fuel prices, joblessness, and lack of health care, had evolved into a significant movement led by the youth. This movement focused on exposing corruption and holding President Jovenel Moïse accountable, significantly shaping the political landscape in Haiti. In March 2018, Haiti experienced fuel shortages when Venezuela stopped sending oil to the country. Things got worse in July when the government decided to remove subsidies, causing the price of kerosene to jump by more than 50%, with similar increases in the prices of other fossil fuels. On July 7, 2018, the government introduced new taxes on gasoline, diesel and kerosene, sparking massive protests in the streets of Haiti. This unrest led to the cancellation of flights to and from Haiti by U.S. airlines. Facing intense pressure from the public, the government eventually retracted the tax hikes. Amidst this turmoil, the Prime Minister at the time, Jacques-Guy Lafontaine, who was considered inexperienced, resigned on July 14, 2018. He was replaced by Jean-Henri Séant a month later. In a notable instance of protest in mid-August 2018, Haitian-Canadian Gilbert Mirambeau Jr. used Twitter to ask a compelling question about the whereabouts of funds from the Petrocaribe deal, a question he posed while blindfolded and holding a sign that read, "Côte Cob Petrocaribe I," which translates to, "Where did the Petrocaribe money go?" His tweet, marked with the hashtag #PetroCaribe Challenge, aimed to draw international attention to this issue. Although initially it seemed the hashtag was mostly shared among English-speaking users with little engagement from Haitians, Haitian media soon picked up on it and helped spread the word locally, amplifying the message. Sharon Roberts interpreted these actions as a signal to the international community that there was a significant push for change in the Haitian regime. The controversy surrounding the misuse of funds from the Petro-Caribe deal and the ongoing investigation into the matter continued to stoke anger. The situation escalated into violence in different cities, including Les Cayes, Jacmel, and Saint-Marc, in October 2018. A series of protests in November led to tragic outcomes, including 10 deaths. One particularly horrifying incident involved a government vehicle losing a wheel and crashing into a crowd, resulting in several fatalities. In February 2019, Haiti experienced a significant wave of protests sparked by a court report from the Petro-Caribe Senate investigation and worsening economic conditions. Demonstrators expressed their anger by damaging luxury cars of the wealthy on February 7th. The situation escalated with the cancellation of Haitian carnival events, clashes between protesters and police, and severe incidents including a market being set on fire, a prison break, and the looting of consulates. Despite this turmoil, President Moïse declared on February 14th his refusal to resign, insisting he wouldn't hand the country over to armed gangs and drug traffickers. Amid continued unrest, opposition leader Sheila Louidor urged ongoing protests, though the intensity began to decrease by February 22nd. Moving to March, Prime Minister Jean-Henri Séan was ousted by a lower house vote on March 18, 2019, and Jean-Michel Lapin was appointed as his replacement by President Moïse. However, as of mid-November, this change had yet to be confirmed by Parliament, leading to a governmental deadlock and the suspension of vital international aid. Come June, the protests took a tragic turn when journalist Rospide Pétion, who had criticized the government on air, was murdered. By October, the situation had not improved, with thousands taking to the streets across Haiti to demand President Moïse's resignation. This outcry came amidst allegations regarding the president's involvement in the Petro-Caribe affair and governmental complicity in a massacre. Amidst energy shortages, road blockages, and plunging tourism, the month ended without the scheduled legislative elections, escalating tensions further. November was marked by a country lockdown, with life in Haiti nearly coming to a standstill, demonstrating the severe impact of the months-long protests on daily life and the national economy. Schools began cautiously reopening in December amidst ongoing violence, with international attention spotlighted on Haiti through visits by U.S. officials and critical hearings by the U.S. House Foreign Affairs Committee addressing the situation and U.S. policy towards Haiti. The descent continued into 2020, with protests critiquing the government's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic and police demanding better working conditions. Additionally, a United Nations report highlighted corruption and inefficiency within the Haitian police force, emphasizing the deep-seated issues facing the nation. In January, there were several demonstrations across cities like Port-au-Prince, Cap-Haïtien, and others, where people expressed their dissatisfaction with President Moïse. While most of these protests were peaceful, violence did erupt in some instances. On January 20th, protests continued, with one woman injured by rubber bullets among other casualties. On January 28th, a diverse group including journalists, lawmakers, and human rights judges led protests against human rights abuses, speaking out against police violence and chanting about their mistreatment by those not paid. In February, tensions escalated with claims of an attempted coup against President Moïse on February 7th, motivated by disputes over the end of his term. Moïse responded by ordering the arrest of 23 people. Protests intensified with demonstrators condemning kidnappings and what they saw as a move towards dictatorship. Clashes with the police were common, with tear gas and rubber bullets being used against protesters throwing stones. By mid-February, the scale of protests grew, accusing the government of tyranny and criticizing international support for Moïse, particularly pointing fingers at U.S. Ambassador Michelle J. Sison. The month saw multiple protests and a significant prison break resulting in 25 deaths, culminating in more protests against the government's actions. March witnessed thousands of Haitians protesting peacefully in Port-au-Prince, driven by calls for action against kidnappers and the resignation of key government figures like President Moïse. A highlight was the rallying cry, "Free our country," symbolizing the broader demand for democracy and an end to gang violence and corruption. Protests expanded to criticize the UN's response and included symbolic actions against the backdrop of planned constitutional reforms. April saw a unique protest where demonstrators circled the presidential palace and used Vodou imagery, voicing their desperation against gang kidnappings. The police's response was, again, to fire tear gas at protesters. In a shocking turn of events, on July 7, 2021, President Moïse was assassinated, allegedly by foreign mercenaries. This led to the immediate action by security forces, resulting in the death of 3 suspects and the arrest of 20 others. Later, on July 20th, Ariel Henry took over as Prime Minister, marking another significant political shift in the nation. In September and October of 2022, Haiti witnessed widespread protests triggered by a significant increase in energy prices and the overall cost of living. The unrest began in earnest on September 14th, following an announcement by Haiti's acting Prime Minister, Ariel Henry, that fuel subsidies would be terminated, leading to an increase in the price of petroleum products. The capital, Port-au-Prince, saw these protests escalate into riots, compelling the temporary closure of various institutions, including the embassies of Spain and France, as well as banks. Protesters also targeted politicians' homes, businesses, and even raided United Nations Children's Fund warehouses, resulting in a loss of humanitarian supplies worth about $6 million. In response to the rising tensions, a group known as the G9 Family and Allies obstructed access to Haiti's main fuel depot, demanding Henry's resignation and a reduction in fuel and basic goods prices. This led to a critical fuel shortage affecting transportation, healthcare, and communication, with a gallon of gas reaching $30 to $40 on the black market. By late October, the effects of gang violence in Haiti were palpable, with a significant number of gunshot victims being treated at a hospital run by Doctors Without Borders. The violence also claimed the lives of several journalists, further destabilizing the country. Come November, Haitian National Police took action against the gangs, regaining control of the Varou fuel terminal. Shortly after this operation, Jimmy Cherizier, the leader of the G9 gang coalition, announced an end to the blockade, though he denied negotiations with government officials. Despite this development, the United States offered rewards for information leading to the arrest of 3 gang leaders for their involvement in kidnapping Christian missionaries. The reopening of gas stations in mid-November was a significant relief to many. Amid these events, Haiti faced a cholera outbreak which had not been seen in 3 years, further complicated by a severe hunger crisis affecting nearly half the population. On the political front, Prime Minister Henry called for international military support to combat gang influence, receiving mixed reactions from the global community. Despite the unanimous approval of sanctions by the United Nations Security Council against specific gang leaders, the proposal for a foreign military intervention received limited support, with prominent nations expressing reservations. Throughout these tumultuous times, notable figures, including political leaders and journalists, were assassinated, highlighting the ongoing violence and instability plaguing Haiti. In 2023, the situation in Haiti saw a significant downturn. The country was left without an elected government as the term of the last democratically elected officials ended. This period saw a rise in violence, notably with gangs leading several fatal attacks on police. The Vitel Homme gang was responsible for the deaths of 4 police officers in Pétionville, and the Savian gang killed 7 officers in Liancourt on January 25th. This sparked a major riot where police targeted the residence of Prime Minister Ariel Henry, though the unrest subsided after a few days. On February 6th, Canada stepped in, announcing it would start surveillance flights over Haiti to keep an eye on the unfolding situation. Documents from the US revealed in late February that the Wagner Group, a private military company, was looking into getting involved in Haiti. March brought a brutal wave of gang battles that resulted in 208 deaths. Kidnappings shot up by 72% compared to the first quarter of the previous year, targeting doctors, lawyers, and other wealthy individuals. Notable victims included Haitian-American couple Jean Dickens and Abigail Toussaint, kidnapped on March 18th and later released, Robert Denny, a TV station director, taken on April 11th, and Harold Marzuka, a vice consul and CEO, kidnapped on April 15th. The failure to pay ransoms often resulted in the deaths of the kidnapped, driving many of the upper class to leave the country in a phenomenon known as brain drain. Violence persisted into April, with an ambush by the Timakak gang on April 9th, leaving 3 officers dead. A particularly shocking incident occurred when a mob burned alive 13 gang members as they were being transported. By late July, the situation had become dire enough for the United States to order its non-essential personnel to leave Haiti as soon as possible. This decision was made on the same day an American nurse and her child were kidnapped, amidst reports that gangs controlled about 80% of the capital. On July 30th, Kenya stepped forward, agreeing to lead a multinational peace mission in the troubled nation. As of September 2023, gangs were said to manage roughly 80% of the Haitian capital. Discussions about a United Nations-backed Kenyan-led police force of about 1,000 members began taking shape, marking a potential first in which an African Union country would spearhead a major peacekeeping mission outside Africa. The United Nations Security Council officially greenlit this mission on October 2, 2023, through Resolution 2699. Amidst these developments, Kenya saw a change in its foreign ministry leadership on October 5, with Musalia Mudavadi taking over from Alfred Mutua amidst domestic debates over the intervention plans. In January 2024, after being deported to Haiti post-release from a United States prison, former Senator Guy Philippe, backed by a renegade armed militia known as the Brigade de Sécurité des Aires Protégées, initiated protests calling for the resignation of Ariel Henry. Meanwhile, a significant legal development occurred on January 26, 2024 in Kenya. A High Court judge put a stop to the deployment of Kenyan police officers to Haiti. The judge's ruling was based on the lack of legal authority of the National Security Council to send police abroad and the absence of a mutual agreement between Kenya and Haiti for such deployment. The Kenyan government disagreed and decided to challenge the decision in the hopes of finding a way around the court's initial ruling. By February 29, 2024, as the Haitian Prime Minister, who was also serving as the president, was in Kenya finalizing the agreement, Haiti saw a sharp rise in violent attacks. The country's main airport and several businesses were targeted, 2 police stations were overtaken, and gang leader Jimmy Cherizier, known as the architect behind the violence, shared a video claiming his actions aimed to stop Ariel Henry from returning to Haiti. Despite Cherizier's call for unity under the coalition Vivre Ensemble, which means living together in Haitian Creole, the coalition quickly fell apart. However, other gangs still joined force with Cherizier's G9 gang in their violent campaigns. In response to these escalating tensions, the Kenyan government announced in March 2024 that an agreement had been reached with Haiti to deploy 1,000 police officers to the troubled nation. Early March saw gang members storm a prison near Port-au-Prince, freeing thousands of inmates. The worsening security situation led to the Haitian government declaring a state of emergency on March 3rd under the leadership of the Minister of Economy and Finance, Michel Patrick Boisvert, who was acting on behalf of Prime Minister Ariel Henry. A large-scale uprising ensued, notably targeting the Presidential Palace, the Ministry of the Interior, and a key police headquarters. ABC News reported that these assaults were swift and well-coordinated, resulting in the deaths of over a dozen militants. The situation further escalated on March 4th when armed gangs launched an assault on the Toussaint Louverture International Airport, leading to intense exchanges of gunfire with police and Haitian armed forces. The gang's actions, fueled by rumors of Henry's return, hinted at a possible alliance among rival factions seeking to topple the Haitian government. Guy Philippe was among other gang leaders purportedly aiming to seize the presidency. While gang violence led to the closure of the Port-au-Prince airport, Ariel Henry's attempt to land in Santo Domingo on March 5th was thwarted, forcing his plane to divert to San Juan, Puerto Rico. Following these events, the United States military was mobilized to evacuate embassy staff from Haiti, and the European Union also withdrew all its diplomatic personnel from the country. On March 12, 2024, amidst the ongoing crisis, Ariel Henry declared his resignation. He announced that a transitional council would be responsible for selecting an interim prime minister, although it remained uncertain if this council would also assume governmental functions. President Moïse invited his adversaries to engage in peaceful talks, emphasizing that Haiti's issues are not just political, but also social and economic. He remarked, "The country's problems aren't solely political. The country's problems are social, economic, and political." The National Police have noted the presence of troublemakers disrupting peaceful demonstrations. Jean-Charles Moïse is at the forefront of the opposition, which has turned down talks with the government demanding President Moïse's departure. A nationwide strike was organized to pressure him into resigning. Along with opposition lawmakers, Jean-Charles has proposed setting up a temporary government, stating, "If Jovenel Moïse does not want to step down from power, we are going to name an interim president in the coming days." A report by Le Nouvelliste on February 18, 2019, brought to light the arrest of a Haitian and 7 foreigners in Port-au-Prince, found with an array of weaponry and equipment but no vehicle license plates. Haitian Foreign Minister Bokchit Edmond confirmed 5 of the arrested were Americans. Investigations revealed among them were 2 ex-Navy SEALs, a former Blackwater employee, and 2 Serbian mercenaries residing in the US. They were employed to safeguard a former national lottery leader aiming to divert $80 million from a Petrocaribe account to a personal account of President Moïse. The US has emphasized its support for democratic demands and transparency, condemning violence for breeding instability and economic downturns. To combat rising instability, it has rolled out humanitarian aid for food security in Haiti and advocated for the punishment of corrupt officials. The US government has also advised Americans to leave Haiti owing to escalating violence, and by March 2024, evacuated non-essential embassy staff, endorsing a Kenyan police intervention. CARICOM has voiced its worries over the persistent unrest in Haiti, noting the devastating impact on lives and infrastructure, and called for meaningful talks. In response to the enduring crisis, it has scheduled a crisis meeting in Jamaica for March 11, 2024. Similarly, the Organization of American States, through Secretary General Luis Almagro, and the United Nations Justice Support Mission in Haiti have urged for respect towards democratic processes and encouraged open, constructive discussions. Thanks for watching. Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more content.